Hi, Steve.
Hi. Has the meeting begun?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Leo. Hey, Leo. I'm here if you need anything. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Traffic and Transportation. I hope everyone is staying warm.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
We'll be giving Leo a minute or two just to hop on and turn on his camera. I see that he's there. Welcome to everybody that's in the chat.
Although you're not muted, Leo, I can't hear you.
Leo, we can't hear you. We see that you're talking, but we cannot hear you.
And you're not muted. So
Can you hear me now?
now we can hear you.
No.
Yes.
Hear you and see you. Look at that. And there's Daryl.
Hi,
Hello.
how's everyone? Get a haircut, Jim?
No.
Oh, just pull back more.
Right. Yeah.
Does that work? Are we good to go?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Thumbs up? Great.
Thumbs up.
All right. Having some difficulty there. So yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Zoom tonight for our February meeting. We had a few presentations lined up. It doesn't seem like they'll happen this time around. Some of the agencies had to cancel, but we'll discuss as we move on with the agenda. But my name is Leo Jimenez. I am the chair of this committee, the Committee of Action and Advocacy, and I will allow the committee members and public members to introduce themselves. Please state your name for the record because this will also count as your attendance. Jim, since your name, well, no, I mean my vice chair. We'll start off with
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noemi Diaz. I'm Vice Chair of Traffic and Transportation. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Jim?
Hi, I'm Jim Berlin. I'm also a member of the Land Use Committee. I'm also the board parliamentarian, and I think we have at least one new member, Mr. Cochran. So we welcome to our committee.
Thank you. Yes, Daryl Cochran. Been with the board a while, but it's my first Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting, so I'm excited. Thank you.
Welcome, Daryl. Good to have you.
Oh, is there someone else?
Yeah, I guess I can go. My name is Melissa Sims, and I'm also a new member of this committee. I'm an Inwood resident, and I'm a member of the licensing committee. I feel like I'm following Noemi around from committee to committee. I just was reassigned. I'm excited to join the committee, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with all of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, Melissa. We're looking forward for the advocacy.
Yeah.
Who else do we have online?
I guess I'm online.
Leo?
Yes.
So I'm Jody Herson, and I'm a member of Traffic and Transportation for about 2.5 years, and also a member of New York City Parks.
Awesome. We have Jim. Jim? You're muted, Jim. Yeah.
I already introduced myself.
Oh, sorry. Bruce and
Yeah.
Anna Fred are public members.
And then if Fred could turn on his camera, we'd love to see him. If not, then we'll look at his beautiful design.
Bruce Robertson just became a public member of Traffic and Transportation after being a full member for like 7 years, and look forward to hanging out with my favorite crowd.
Hi, I'm Fred Sofa, and I'm a new public member, and I'm driving, so I might leave my camera off until I actually land somewhere. But if I can figure out how to turn it on, I will.
No, that sounds
I'm
like a good
honored.
idea.
I'm
Yeah,
the
when
Traffic
you
and Transit Committee.
Okay. No, that Fred, when you have time, obviously we want you to drive safely. So but we're going to get started. Obviously, it's been long-winded this meeting. And we might have to, or we will be entertaining the presentations next month, as the agencies still gather information and research to present to us. But with that being said, I have a hand raised. I'm sharing the agenda briefly. Noemi, I might have you share the agenda from your screen. And I saw that we had a hand raised. Anthony Vlantes. Is there a question pertaining to opening remarks? Or do you need a
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, Anthony.
Hi. I'm sorry, you were muted and I didn't hear what you said. All I heard was my name.
Okay, no worries. I know I saw your hand raised earlier. Is this something related to opening remarks, or if it's something in the agenda points, we'll entertain a conversation when we get to the agenda point?
That was an accident. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Lyle, good friend Lyle. How are you, Lyle?
How are you, Leo?
It's good. It's good hearing you and seeing you recently. We had and I'll give a brief update. We had a brief walkthrough, Lyle, myself, and Noemi. We did want to invite more of the committee members. We decided to just have some conversation before we start targeting certain areas in our community. So we will be having another walkthrough in the next month or so. This one would be a little more in depth with obviously more committee members, some of the elected officials. It will be more of a walking tour, but we just wanted to touch bases, and Lyle can give some more background to it. But before that, Lyle, the DOT presentation, I'm assuming will be moved to March.
Yeah, there were,
construction.
yeah. DDC was supposed to have a presentation tonight. That should be pushed back to next month, the March meeting, and DOT might have another presentation lined up for you guys next month as well, depending on what we can do the next month. So we'll be in touch about that. But yeah, there should be some things lined up for you for March.
Okay, great. All right. So Lyle, as always, any updates on the Riverside Drive Viaduct? You know, that's the hot topic. We'll ensure or make sure to mention it month in, month out, until we see some progress. Obviously, we have Jody and Bruce and Ann from our community board joining us, so they can provide some updates on any changes they've seen in the area. But you know, always open to your updates.
Yeah, that was part of the updates I had to had for you guys tonight. But I can get to it now very quickly. I'm still waiting to hear back from my colleagues in our Bridges division regarding the status of the contract and its public availability. Last I heard, the request was sent to our legal team for their review, but I haven't received any updates or feedback yet on my end, so I'll keep you posted on that as far as that goes. But in the meantime, Valerie Torshon, the community construction liaison on site, my colleagues in our bridges division have assured CB12, at least at this cabinet meeting early last month, that emergency vehicle access is available in front of both River Terrace and River Arts buildings on the viaduct. And there's also a no standing and loading zone space behind River Arts by the back entrance on Lower Riverside Drive. So if any cars or emergency vehicles need to get access quickly, at least to the back of the building, that access is available. There should be a space or two sectioned off as far as loading zone space under the no standing signage. That can be used either by residents very quickly for drop off and pickup of goods and services, or for emergency vehicles if they need to access the back entrance. If there are any other issues that do come up, again, our liaison, Valerie Torshon, is on site. She's there, Monday through Friday, all day, every day, pretty much, even while these issues are ongoing. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to her. But as of now, I've been assured that the situation, at least as far as emergency vehicle access, has been cleared up, and everyone that needs access to the curbside for emergency vehicle access should be able to get that. I think you're muted, Leo.
Sorry about that, Lau. So Lau, before we go on to questions, I want to recognize both community board members, Chair of the Health and Human Services, Steve Simon, and community board member Ad Megius, who are joining us. They have the questions for you, actually. So Steve, followed by Anne, and then Jody.
Can we, sorry, Leo, we're calling to order.
Okay, great.
At 7:13.
7:13. Sounds good.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
All right. Actually, I'm the chair of the Health and Environment Committee, but I'm also a local resident, and I live right next to the Riverside Drive Viaduct. Lyle, I think maybe you said something earlier about the contract being reviewed by lawyers. Maybe I misunderstood, but what I'm wondering is whether the agency is looking at terminating the contract. Is that what's under discussion, since the contractor walked off the job? And my understanding is that there's a bonding company involved, and part of that bonding requirement would have the bonding company find a replacement contractor to finish the job. Is that what's being looked into?
I think that's one of the options that's being weighed. In this instance, it seems like it's a lot easier said than done, which is why it's kind of tangled within the legal process. But yeah, there are a couple of different things that have to be sorted through. So, as far as how long it might take a while in order for these things to get sorted out. But like I mentioned, if there are any issues that do come across from a physical element or anything that we can address, at least from the DOT side, like I said, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Valerie. But yeah, that's one of the things that they're trying to sort through, at least through our bridges division and our legal team. So it's with them at this current time.
All right, so that is an option that's under consideration.
As far as I know, I think it is, but don't quote me on that. I'll see if I can get some more information officially. Like I said, I'm not really sure to this point where they stand in the legal process, but I know that there are a couple of things that they have to wade through in order to see where they stand with the contractors. So I'll see if I can get some more specifics and get the information for you, Steve.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Steve. Anne, and then Jody.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Yeah, Lyle, and I'm sorry, there's something going wrong with my camera. I'm not actually hiding. So Lyle, you said that there's access from the, over by 871 Riverside. One of the things that's blocking that, continues to block that, is that NYPD wagon of some sort with the lights on it. Have you seen that?
I think I have. It's been a little while since I've been over there. But I know that the 33rd tends to have a presence there on the regular. Um, I know that there have been issues as far as at least enforcement. But as far as I know, usually when I've interacted with 33rd, they've been more on the 155th side more so than by 871. But maybe I can help with what your question's about to be.
Okay, and there was also an access issue that occurred that was a health and safety issue just this week. Are you aware of that?
Not this week, but I know that there have been concerns relayed in the past as far as like I said, emergency access, which is why I mentioned it now. Like I said, we did install the no standing sign, which looks like it's adjacent to 871, just next to the bus stop. So I think there are about 2 or so parking spaces that have been carved out at least temporarily while the construction is ongoing and while this whole process is going through, where cars should be able to have access. That area should be cleared at all times. And like I said, that's for temporary pickup and drop off, loading and offloading of goods and services. It's reflected by the no standing anytime signage that's by 871.
I mean, of course, it's complicated with the snow right now.
Yeah.
We won't hold DOT responsible for that, but it is not clear access, and of
Okay.
course you have no control over people ignoring the no standing signs either. But it's still difficult, and there was another issue this week, and I can get you the details on it if that will be helpful.
Sure. Absolutely. I can leave my email in the chat, or you can reach out to Leo and he can connect us. But yeah, any issues or concerns, like I said, you can definitely let me know, or you can let Valerie know, it was also on site, Monday through Friday. But yeah, we can definitely follow up.
Where is Valerie Monday through Friday?
We have an office for this project on Broadway by 158th Street. So she's in the office, like I said, Monday through Friday. So she is on site. She's not by the viaduct, but she's just up the block.
She's up the stairs from the pizza place.
Yeah, exactly.
And what building?
The corner building that's now a pizza place. It used to be
Coral.
Coral.
Oh, the old Coral.
And I'm sorry, we can't engage in this dialogue. I'll get you the address for Valerie's information.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, hi Lyle, it's Jody. I was by the River Arts and that whole stretch of property that you're talking about that's been barricaded by the viaduct construction project. And Ann actually lives there, and so does Steve. So I defer to them completely. But every time I drive by it, I do not see that there is clear emergency access. And one of the areas that I'm most concerned about is on the northern side of this construction site, where a certain part of the River Arts building. I don't know how a fire truck gets in there, should there be a front-facing fire in that area. And I'm wondering also whether there is a possibility, since we've been bringing this up since October, whether you might be able to meet us and actually look at the area that we're talking about. And if there is also maybe possibly emergency vehicle access signs that we could put up in the area so that there is a little bit more information to provide ambulances and fire trucks as they're trying to access this stretch of approximately 5 blocks of residential property.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can, if you want to have a site visit to that area, we can definitely set up another one. I know Valerie at the cabinet meeting last month had mentioned that FDNY and EMS did sign off on the access that was there currently, but I can ask her again, and I can ask our purchase division to re-review that location just to verify. But at least, like I said, I haven't been up there in a little bit, but at the last cabinet meeting, that was what was the message that was relayed. But in the meantime, Yeah, we can definitely set up another site visit if you want, of that area. I know that there's still some things outstanding that we do have to we do have lined up as far as future conversations with the community board. Again, we haven't forgotten, as far as the area by 158th or, that surrounding area. So there are future conversations to come, but in the meantime, if you want to have another site visit, definitely we can put something in the calendar and we can go back out there. It's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'll meet you anytime, and I'm sure I could work out something with Anne as well, and, just take a look at the same things that we're looking at.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, we can definitely do something. I'll be in touch. Yeah, we can definitely do something in the next couple of weeks. That's no problem.
So just so that we know, should I contact you to set up that date, or should you contact me?
I'll reach out to you. Either, whichever works for you works for me. I can reach out to you to get the ball rolling. And like I said, we can set some dates and times aside. And like I said, we can carve out some time to go out and take a walk around the neighborhood and whatever else you want to look at. That's fine with me.
That would be fantastic. So I'll wait to hear from you.
Sure, no problem. We'll be in touch before the end of this week. It's no problem. Probably tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, we'll set something up. We're supposed to walk that stretch. We actually have some updates on.
Yeah.
So we'll that will give you more details. But we walked 179 for Washington. We went to 165th for Washington, and we went to 158th Street, the intersection, where Morgan Place, and things are in the works. We're gonna Lau gives you some updates, but conversations were had. Things are in the works. We should be getting some updates, good updates in the next couple months, right, Lau?
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, like I said, we haven't forgotten, the conversations we've had previously as far as, just the, situation around 158th. I've been working in place, that 6-point intersection, and all the stuff that we've had previous walkthroughs on, Jody, in the past. So, like I said, we haven't forgotten. Conversations are ongoing internally. There are a couple of, ideas that we may have, but like I said, we're trying to get our ducks in a row. And ideally, later on this year, we'll have something for the committee as far as a presentation. So, like I said, as information comes, I'll definitely pass it along. But we're working on it. Just give us a little bit of time. And like I said, we'll bring something to the community board, ideally before the end of this year.
Fantastic. Can I just ask, are you incorporating the community suggestions that were presented to you in a plan?
Oh, yeah.
Back in March of 2025?
Yeah, we trust me. We haven't forgotten the conversations that we had with the council member last year. We've definitely taken those to heart as far as the suggestions, and the concerns. So everything's on the table, as far as a proposal. I know that we had something, a former proposal that we had originally that we presented to the community board that wasn't very well received. But like I said, we're trying to rack our brains and see if we can come up with something that's, a little bit more palatable, or at least use the previous presentation as a starting point for future conversation. So, like I said, we're trying to see how best to approach this, and we'll be in touch. Just stay tuned.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No problem.
That's including a suggestion when we met at the intersection on 158th Street. We also suggested the DOT that a roundabout wouldn't be a bad idea, specifically in this location, as cars are going through many directions. Lyle saw himself a potential accident, traffic because of the construction. So trust me, Jody, Bruce, and you guys, and Steve, you guys are in that area. We saw everything you talk about on the we agree.
Yeah.
Some changes needs to be added.
Yeah. And just so you know, Leo, as a follow-up to one of the conversations we had, as far as at least the signals that were there, I can get into a little bit more detail just very quickly. As part of the walkthrough that Leo and I had, and Noemi, I also had invited one of my colleagues from our signals division, our intersection control unit. So that was one of the intersections that we had looked at. We always hear about the concerns about 158th and Morgan Place and Riversides, both upper and lower. So one of the requests that was discussed is potentially maybe some sort of like left turn arrow, maybe one or all the different intersection points, something, to kind of control traffic there, at least for the time being, while, we try to formulate a larger proposal. So I've already sent those requests in to my colleagues for their review. So Hopefully they should be able to get the ball rolling on conducting a traffic study out there just to see if, any additional pedestrian traffic.
Now we seem to have lost you. Lyle?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now we can. You're back.
Oh, okay. That was strange. I don't know what you did hear or Jared didn't hear, but like I said, the request that we had discussed as far as maybe some, left turn arrows around that area, just, something that might, make it a little better organized. In the meantime, while we think about the larger proposal for this area, I already put that request in, like I said, for my colleagues to review in our signals division. So we should have some answers for you in a little bit as far as, if it's feasible to install, any arrows around the area to make it at least, a little bit more pedestrian friendly. In the meantime, like I said, while we prepare a larger proposal for everyone.
And just an update with that new construction where the row houses were. We saw what happens when a truck, excavating or whatever kind of truck that was, is parked on the roadway. Traffic was backed off in all directions. People were going on both sides. It was a danger to other vehicles, pretty bad danger for pedestrians, obviously really bad for people who ride bikes in that area. So Lyle sent someone on Friday, an inspector on Friday, last Friday, to follow up. And then we're going to work out to see if we can have more inspectors come more frequently. Right, Lyle? I think it's needed. Obviously, the contractor, when eyes are on it, tends to behave a bit better. So we want to make sure that we're constantly following up. They don't seem to be doing the right thing as our construction neighbors.
Yeah, as you're discussing, like anytime that you see that there may be something out of the ordinary by that construction site, I think we discussed this before. Just let me know, and we can definitely send an inspector out there in order to see if everything is on the up and up. I think it was on Thursday. They had there was quite a bit of a traffic, jam, a couple of close calls, as I know Wheeler recalls. And they had a flagger, they didn't have a flagger. We did see and observe some activity out there where eventually somebody did come out. But like I said, if there's anything out of the ordinary that you see, just let me know. And like I said, we can always send an inspector out there. We can check the permits, that sort of thing, just to make sure that all construction materials and everything that are out there should be as they are properly arranged.
Thank you. I'm gonna allow, I'm sorry, Jim and then Jody, but Bruce, you can feel free to talk as well. Bruce had a question in the chat. He just wanted to know if the new DOT commission is aware of the debacle at the viaduct.
I don't know. I assume so. I mean, he's getting acclimated. As part of my update too. I can just get into that very quickly. So as I'm sure you're all aware, we do have a new commissioner at DOT, replacing former Commissioner Rodriguez. His name is Mike Flynn. He used to work with DOT previously. He does have experience in the past in our traffic planning and management division. He also comes from the private sector. So he's back now with DOT with perspectives from both inside and outside of the agency. We are transitioning, from one commissioner to another. I think he is aware of what's going on. I haven't heard what his 2 cents are on the subject, but I would say he's fairly aware of the situation. So, like I said, at the very least, our borough commissioner is definitely aware and keen to what's happening. So, if he doesn't know, trust me, he either knows by now or he'll know very, very soon. So, but like I said, all eyes are still on the viaduct. From our perspective.
All right, go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. 2 things, and one of them is sort of irrelevant, but you'll get to hear that next. In certain construction projects, like for example, the construction of the new hospital at 165th Street and Fort Washington, the contractor is actually required by DOT to have people directing traffic, and I believe DOT can also do the same thing with this other construction project that people have been talking about. And that's something that you guys might want to do, because again, when traffic goes crazy, that's when people get killed and people get injured. So I'm suggesting that very strongly. The second thing is, and you don't have to answer us now, but I'm curious to know exactly how many intersections we have in our community board. Now, DOT has an exact count of the number of intersections that have signals, because obviously you have to maintain the signals, but I Googled my brains out, and nowhere will it give you the actual number of total intersections, which is significant for a variety of reasons. So if you could somehow dig up that number, we would appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued about that too. I'll see what I can find out for you. And regarding the first thing you had mentioned, as far as flaggers, I think that there's a flagger that's supposed to be on site for the 158th South location, and I think he was there. He just wasn't there at the time. At least the first couple of minutes that we were there, Leo. But if you recall, he did show up while we were there, and traffic was straightened out. But for some reason, he should be there all the time. But the time that we were there, I guess he stepped out. But he did organize it when we were there, at least a little bit later on during our visit. Or am I crazy?
No, yeah. It's madness for about 5 minutes, and then when he stepped in, things kind of slowed down a bit. But we again, I'm gonna keep reaching out to Lyle. If I can have an inspector there weekly from DOT.
Okay.
Not random days during the week. So again, these contractors, they're bad actors. Norm. So when they know someone comes around to put the eye on them, things kind of change. So they failed the test of us showing up, and things was a little bit of a chaos out there. So we'll keep reaching out to DOT. DOT sends the inspector, and hopefully that should help relieve while we get the traffic study going for 158, which we passed the resolution the year prior. So let me do Bruce and Jody, who had her hand raised, and I didn't see it anymore. Bruce, go ahead, and Jody.
I just had a question. Who's the new Manhattan DOT commissioner?
So the new borough commissioner for DOT, her name is Danielle Zuckerman. I think she was at the January meeting.
Oh, okay. So she hasn't changed.
No, no, she has got here. So hopefully she's not going to go anywhere for a while. But yeah, she's essentially the new permanent borough commissioner for Manhattan. So we're bringing her up to speed also on all things Manhattan, especially in particularly CB12. So
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, Jim. You have another question? I don't see Jody's hand anymore. Okay. All right. So, Lala, any other updates? And I have a couple of things for you.
Yeah, just real quick. I know that the staircase by the Riversides has been a concern. Just wanted to advise everyone that ideally we would have addressed the staircase by now if it wasn't for the weather. The snow and the extreme cold don't really help our situation. Like I said, from DOT's perspective, the bridge is not in the best state of repair, but we should be able to make repairs to it in order to make it safe for usage. We have had conversations internally and don't think that a complete and total overhaul and redo of the bridge, I'm sorry, the staircase is necessary. But what we want to do is, with the very least, want to go forward with the Make Safe project that we did have in the works. Hopefully, like I said, once this weather gets better, and we'll reevaluate the staircase and see, if anything extra is needed as far as any maintenance. We've been having conversations with the council member. I know he has a vested interest in this area as well, and he has money allocated, for a complete replacement. But like I said, we just want to see, what the Make Safe repairs do. In the meantime, we think that should be enough in order to make this, like I said, in good state. Like I said, conversations with the council member are ongoing, and it's definitely on his radar as well. So just wanted to let you all know. And very quickly, just to go over, the walkthrough that Leo and I had. As Leo mentioned, we went to 179th and Fort Washington to look at the intersection over there, to see if any left turn arrows at any one of those directions might be feasible. Like I said, similar conversations by 165th and for Washington and 158th and Edward Morgan Place. So, like I said, there are a couple of things, that we have in the works as far as traffic studies, interim things in the meantime while we're preparing larger presentations for the community. So, like I said, stay tuned as far as more information. We definitely have a few things in the pipeline for the community board, in the next few months. So, and like I said, in the meantime, any updates that I can provide, I'll definitely let you know. And if you have anything for me, as always, you know where to find me. Just keep in touch and I'll see what I can do from my side.
Okay, great. Jody has a question, and I have a few things for you. Go
Okay.
ahead, Jody.
Lyle, I do have a couple of things that I just want to ask you. In follow-up to the lighting project that is planned for the Rocky Run dog
Mhm.
park, and then a lighting study that was promised back in 2024 along that stretch of sidewalk from 160 to 165. Where are we with that? And do we have a date for when the lighting will be installed? Because that was promised by Commissioner Pinkard for spring of 2025. And it
Yeah.
looks like it's
Yeah.
something that really needs to be done, especially in light of the fact that we're doing a major project at Rocky Run and a
Mhm.
something $1 million project at the Lily Brown Playground. We really need it safe for people to get to those places.
Understandably, yeah. I think that I haven't had a recent update from our street lighting division. I think that the capital project, at least for Rocky Run lights, I think is in the works for this year, but I will confirm that with my colleagues. I know that this has been a long, ongoing concern, and we've had a couple of timelines as far as installation. We've had a couple of setbacks, especially when it comes to some of the capital projects, in light of current situations. But like I said, I'll see if there are any new updates as far as a time frame for the installation for the Rocky lights. And separate and apart from that, as far as the stretch from 160th to 165th, that was a separate lighting study that we had. I'll see if we have any updates on that as well. Those are both on the radar of my colleagues, but I'll see if we can get some newer updates for you and be in touch.
And then the other project that you guys are actually doing in that area, which is super
Mhm.
exciting, is the 165 in Riverside Drive. And when do we anticipate that getting started? I believe you probably have the resolution now.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sending the resolution over to us. Ideally, we're actually coming up with the schedule for this year to see when our installation season begins, once the weather gets better and much warmer, which one of our projects we can roll out with. So hopefully the plan is to get this done sometime during the spring, early summer. But as we get closer to that time frame, and our schedule gets a little bit more clear, which I think it should be within the next few weeks. I'll definitely let you guys know. I know that everybody's anticipating what's to come, and hopefully the upcoming work by 165th and Riverside should be able to alleviate a lot of the pressure from the other traffic points, especially east of Riverside. Leo and I, when we were in the area, had seen a couple of traffic jams during rush hour the other day. So hopefully, there'll be some pressure relieved from the area once we install everything that we're going to. I'm gonna say late spring, early summer. But like I said, I should have a clear idea as to the time frame in the next couple of weeks. So I'll let you know.
I'm holding you to it.
Okay.
Can I ask one more thing and then I'll let you go?
Sure.
I will. We also talked back in November, and you actually brought it up.
Mhm.
You had met with Ebenezer, and it's around the George Washington Bridge, 181st in Amsterdam, and you
Mhm.
noted that there was some traffic flow problems and safety issues, and that if you moved or shifted the light slightly to the right, it would definitely make everything a lot better, as well as, I think, and we supported in a resolution, eliminating 2 parking spaces on the east side of Amsterdam
Mhm.
to provide a right-hand turn onto George Washington Bridge. And just wanting, since I haven't heard anything, an update on that.
I think we did receive the resolution for that as well, so thank you for that. That was one of the other site visits that we conducted before Ebenezer left with our signals folks and Leo and a colleague of mine from our bikes division regarding the access by 181st in Amsterdam. So I think once the weather gets better, usually we get the ball rolling as far as any markings or any adjustments to the physical structure and to the street, usually when the weather gets better. So hopefully by mid-March, we can get the ball rolling on our projects. This is one of those that we have in the pipeline as far as things to move forward on within CB12 this coming year. This should be fairly straightforward. I mean, it's just a matter of adjusting the signage to reflect no standing and lane markings in order to better indicate and open up that lane as you approach 181st and shift the signal. So I would say within the next, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks, we should get some movement over there. But like I said, don't hold me to that. Like I said, we're still trying to figure out our schedule for this year. As always, like I said, as we get closer to that as well, I'll let you know as more information comes in. But that's one of several things we have going in CB12 this year. So that should be happening, I'd say, sooner than later as far as when the installation season starts to ramp up.
Fantastic. That would be great. And I'm sorry, I have one more.
Okay.
The median from 158 to 165,
Mm-hmm.
upper
We're
and
having.
lower Riverside. We have
Yep.
a huge problem with a horrific garbage problem with litter and illegal dumping. And I know
Yeah.
DSNY and New York City Parks are attempting to coordinate with you on a
Yes.
schedule and a plan. How's that going?
We are having conversations. Jen reached out to me a couple days ago. We're trying to put together an interagency approach in order to address the area in question, that green space in between the riversides, between 150th and 165th. I'm gonna say stay tuned as far as information, but we are having conversation on our end, trying to coordinate something from all three agencies. Nothing to report just yet, but conversations are ongoing, and hopefully we should have some information for you fairly soon. Stay tuned. I'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Mhm.
done. Done.
Thank you, Jody. All right, and 2 minutes, and then we'll have Allegra. She raised her hand. 2 minutes. We have to move on.
Yep, I'm just one more little thing, the stairs from the lower drive to the upper drive. This is a thank you. I don't know if you're aware of the fact that has all new lighting has gone up on those stairs, and it's been a godsend there. So whoever's responsible for that, it's a very good thing. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks so much. I'll let my colleagues know.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Allegra, you have 2 minutes, Allegra.
Hi, thank you. I put my questions in the chat, but let me just speak them out loud.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lyle, I had several requests for red light cameras along the Broadway stretch around 215th Street where cars run most red lights.
We're gonna,
Like an
sorry, Allegra, to cut you off.
I'd
The
like
red
an-
light- Sorry,
wait, just
I'm gonna
let-
give you, I'm gonna give
I've
you
got 2 minutes. Okay.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, Allegra. No need to get antsy.
Yep.
We are gonna discuss the red light camera. So, Lau, don't answer that right away. I have something for the committee and for the board and for our attendees on how we can follow up with these red light cameras. But go ahead.
Oh, okay, super. Well, I did put a request in, and then Lyle, like he translated my request into the proper paperwork. So you know, at 215th Street where the cars run lights. I also would just like to again highlight this state of dysfunction on the Broadway Bridge, where the southbound sidewalk access continues to be closed, and there are literally more pedestrians and bikes and everything else trying to share a little tiny gross sidewalk. And I want to know why we can't have one of those car lanes for pedestrian access. And I see people every day, like literally like running across the street without the light right there before the bridge. And we're going to have someone dead, and it will happen, and it will be tragic and preventable. I'd like to also talk about the bike lanes that have been put forth to connect the Harlem River Greenway at 10th Avenue and Dyckman Street to the Broadway Bridge. Like, when will the planning for that commence? We've always heard that's going to be starting like somewhere like in the neighborhood of 2027. So I would like to have an update on that. And also, I would like to say that here we are, like many days after many snows, and the sidewalk cuts are still like impassable for many people who are not of able body. And I almost bit the dust the other day trying to get on the bus. And I thank God that my hip surgery was successful and I did not bite the dust, but I can only imagine how many other people actually did bite the dust. And can we get the sidewalks clear? Like, Montreal's had this down to a fine art for like 50 years. So can we just copy them? Thank you.
Thank you. Lyle, if you want to answer.
I think I will see what if I can find out what I can find out about the red light camera request. I did get an email from maybe other day later, so I'll see what I can find out for you in regards to that. Regarding the Broadway Bridge, I was trying to get an update from my Ridges folks in time for this meeting, but it looks like I wasn't able to. But for that project as well, we do have a liaison on site, Yana Almonte, who's also, by the bridge, but on the Bronx side, all day, every day, while we're going through issues up there as well. So I can reach out to her to see if there's any new or additional information that she can send over, that can connect you with her. And I'll see what I can find out about the bike lane. Like I said, there are a couple of projects within DOT that we have in the pipeline, including several bike lanes. So I'll see where we stand. I can reach out to our bicyclists and greenways division to see what updates we can provide as far as that bike lane and some of the other ones we have in the works for you.
Thank you, Lyle. So going to Allegra's point about the camera, Allegra actually flagged and sent me an email regarding the red light cameras. I saw in an article that DOT is going to expand their cameras in the city from 150 to 600. We've been talking about this for a while. So we did send the request into Lyle. Obviously, we wanted to give community input. We wanted to ensure that DOT knew that we, the community, know these hotspots where we need the cameras. And if they're going to allow us about 2, maybe 3, since there's so many intersections or communities in New York, districts in New York, we want to make sure that we really focus on those areas. So this goes out to everyone. DOT is assessing locations according to Lyle. You can confirm or deny, but DOT is assessing. Doesn't seem like they're gonna make any decisions now. Most likely later on the spring. I want us as a community to really, really hone in on this and identify 3 really, really bad areas. Obviously, throughout the district, we can't be biased, and I know we live in certain areas and we advocate deeply for those areas, but we need to consider. Obviously, we'll use crash maps. Allegra has good info on this inside as well, but we want to identify at least 3. We'll give them a list of 20, but at least 3 main ones so that in consideration when DOT does implement these red light cameras in our area, we're focusing on those really bad areas. And Lyle, you can confirm based on the email exchange regarding the cameras.
Yeah, when it comes to the cameras, usually DOT doesn't like to give the locations of those away, I guess for obvious reasons. If people know where the cameras are, then it kind of defeats the purpose because of what people might do by the cameras. But, we will always take suggestions. Folks live in the community know more than what we do as far as, the hotspots and that sort of thing. Even though we have Vision Zero and, all of our data, but we'll definitely take suggestions and requests as far as locations. And as the situation warrants, we can definitely install them. But yeah, I know that Leah reached out to me a little while ago with this same question. So, like I said, any suggestions that you have, we're definitely willing to take back. Like I said, let me know, and I can definitely relay that to my colleagues in our automated enforcement and camera division.
Okay, great, Lyle. Allegra, do you have a clarifying question? We're not going to engage in the dialogue.
Yeah, yes, I do have a clarifying question. So I'd like to push back just a little bit. It is an intended outcome of a speed camera that drivers know that an intersection has a speed camera or a red light camera, and therefore they stop doing the bad behaviors. So I would suggest that in compliance with state laws, you can only have 750 speed cameras and red light cameras issuing tickets. But as far as I know, that there is nothing to say that you can't have more cameras in operation recording which intersections are the most problematic. And while anecdotal evidence and community sourced evidence is great, and we should definitely like have a listen to that, having a nice observational array where you can say like these 7 intersections are the problem spots in this community. You turn the red light cameras on at those 7 intersections, drivers learn their lesson, and then you can move on to the next ones. So I would suggest that DOT installs more cameras to observe than are allowed to issue tickets by state laws, and let those observations guide the intersections where you have the ticket issuing cameras activated. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jim, and then we'll move on.
So I have several comments. DOT already has cameras all over the place that they look at, but presumably they could look at them the way Allegra likes them to be looked at. I also have a tentative suggestion from where we might want one, and that's the intersection where I almost got run down by a Jersey driver at 179th Street and Fort Washington Avenue at the bridge entrance. And thirdly, it turns out drivers know where the cameras are because I take Uber more than I used to. And as I look, and I sit in the middle seat so I can watch the various screens in the car. And there's some screen on some cars that says speed camera ahead. So I don't know if they're particularly secret. And, you know, it's an interesting discussion as to whether they ought to be secret or not or whatever. But, I think there's something to be said for both ways of doing things. But again, based upon my experience watching my drivers, they know damn well there's a speed camera somewhere on Broadway near 116th Street, because every time they drive down, it says speed camera ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. It's something maybe we want to address with a state assembly member and a state senator. Obviously, they have to lobby through Albany to get funds for these type of things. So even though DOT are the ones that put them up, they need the money from the state. All right. That being said, we'll close off with Lyle. Lyle, is there any other updates? We appreciate you joining us and indulging Noemi and I last Thursday and possibly the rest of the committee this month. But is there
no
anything else?
problem. That's it for me. As discussed, we do have a couple of site visits that we need to set up in the next couple of weeks and months. So we'll definitely be in touch about those. Hopefully when the weather gets better, we can conduct a few more. Like I said, I'll definitely be in touch with you about a few of the things we have going on. And Jody, you'll be hearing from me also before the week's end to have some dates and times for that site visit. So we'll be in touch. No problem. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Alberto Rodon from MTA. Alberto, thank you for patiently waiting.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Some quick updates, Leo, from last meeting. I think you saw regarding the Dolphin Park. I connected you guys to Port Authority, who manages that area. I hope that worked out for all of you. And then there was an update for Allegra. I think there was employees parking by the 207 yard. I think I gave the update, but the update is they did an operation with PD to let these employees know, got to follow the rules, and I think some were towed. So there wasn't something that occurred to try to address that sidewalk car parking issue that was brought up last week. What else?
And Allegra thanks you as you wrote it.
No worries. And then there was a question from a committee member about the ongoing A train weekend work. I asked them what's the timeline on that. Currently, there is work remaining, but we don't expect that to resume until later this year. The reason why it's taking long is that we're replacing over 3,000 feet of track on the uptown side and over 2,700 feet of track on the downtown side. So it takes long, as you can imagine, but we're working through that and hope to be done end of the year. But currently, we don't have any more outages forecasted. Of course, as you know, the current weather has kind of put a monkey wrench in a lot of our weekend work across the system. But for right now, this specific outage, we don't have it planned until end of this year. And then I'll take any questions. Oh, last item here for me is the current flood resiliency work in CB12. We have the Dyckman staircase in front of the pharmacy right there on that's gonna mobilize next week. And that's an exit only staircase. That's to add the raised stairwell as we did across the street by the McDonald's. That's gonna happen along Dyckman here on the A side next week. And then later on, about 3 months or so, we're gonna move up to the pharmacy of the 207 exit by Isham, I believe. So those are two main projects starting in the community that I can point to right now.
Thank you, Alberto. Alberto, so I have a question or two. Have you seen any complaints through MTA of snow buildup on the bus stops? I know a few people have reached out to me that
I did get some from Manhattan, obviously, but none from Uptown. But the ones I did receive earlier last week, I did forward to the DOT Laos colleagues and the borough commissioner to address whether it was if it was a bus shelter there, then JC Deco would manage that for DOT, and if it was a non-shelter location, then sanitation would help us out there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I reached out to sanitation regarding certain locations I got, and they cleared it up. Issue was we had older folks, we had kids, and we had people with disabilities that couldn't access the bus stop because they get picked up at the curb line. I believe some of these places were mitigated, so they were removed. But if you hear anything, just please give me a heads up. Also, Noemi, and I'm gonna let her talk about it, but she takes the train on 168th, and I believe on the east side, by the A train entrance on the east side, it was temporarily closed without any signage or any warning advisory. And Noemi, again, feel free to take over and just kind of give your.
This was
Yeah, thank you,
168.
Leo.
Sorry.
Yeah, so hi, Alberto. So I obviously live on 168. I'm taking the A train all the time. So there's a change of turnstiles happening on the A line on 168, and the signage is a bit confusing there. It says like to take the one, you gotta cross over, but to take the A, you gotta go over to 170th to get on the A. Obviously, I'm a commuter, so I know that you could cross over to the one line and also take the A there, and just walk down and over. But that's a concern with the signage there. And then the question is, how long is this project going to be there for on 168 and
Yeah,
Broadway?
so thanks for the question. Currently at that entrance, they're installing one of the 3 vendors for the turnstile pilot. We're expecting it to wrap up hopefully by the end of this week, but no later than next week. So you'll have that returned for use. To your note about it being confusing, I think what they were trying to do was list accessible alternatives. So for some folks, yeah, the one train's accessible for them if they're able-bodied. But I think, excuse me, for the elevator folks, we currently have that out at the station, and that will return once the turnstiles open up again.
Okay, thank you. And then also just the whole walkway from that Broadway side from the A to the 1, that whole area is still not accessible for anybody, ADA compliant and carriages and things of that sort with snow. So there's a lot of buildup there, and that hasn't been taken care of.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Alberto, real quick, how long will the turnstile operations take? How long will that?
The pilot itself, once it's live on that station.
Well, no, for them to install it and open up that site again.
So they're currently installing it now. They're hoping to have that opened by end of this week, but no later than next week if something comes up. But we're hoping to have that return by end of the week.
Okay, so it's not long term then.
No, it's not. It's not a long-term project.
Okay. All right. And you said there's a pilot program. That pilot program goes in effect
Yeah,
immediately.
so we're testing 3 different vendors across 20 stations over the next couple months. And then we want customers to give us feedback on their thoughts of the East Turnstile before we before we choose a vendor for the new turnstiles. So just so everyone knows, in this capital plan, we've allocated $1.1 billion for new turnstiles and 120 stations over the next 5 years. Before we purchase any, we want to try 3 different vendors who are paying for these pilot turnstiles, and before we make that decision. So it's being vetted every day. The current stations that are live, we're getting feedback from customers, observations from staff, whether it's confusing customer, was open too long, whether it's needs more tweaking. All that's being looked at during this pilot phase before we make any type of decision. So we definitely want customers to please in your district, when 168th opens up, please check it out. There'll be a link or area to put comments. Please put your comments in. We want this to be these are forever kind of turnstiles. We want it to be a good purchase, one that works, and one that folks really feel confident that the input was received.
All right, that's cool. If you can go take feedback to MTA, have as much signage in the station. Obviously, it's a major commuting hub. So if you want feedback, you'll get feedback. But there should be signage everywhere with QR codes and in different languages, just not only English and Spanish. We have people rushing to San Live neighborhood, people of Chinese descent, people of all walks of life that live in our area. So we want to make sure that everybody has access and are able to comment based on these designs. Jim, and then we'll let Allegra. Jim.
Thank you. The thing which I believe we know is that at the moment, the 168th Street station is not accessible at all because the elevator that goes to the street is on the other side of the turnstiles that aren't there. So I'm very happy to hear that these things should be installed ideally by the end of the week or early next week, because I have enormous difficulty climbing those stairs and am a major user of that elevator. So it's good to hear. Thank you. And the fact that we get to experiment with one of these new turnstiles, I think the community will like that, because we in Northern Manhattan, and I'm not talking about just our community district, we feel that we're often neglected. So now we're actually part of the mix, and I think that's a very good thing.
Thank you, Jim. Alberto, is there any way we can get free shuttle buses to take community patrons to the next accessible train station? We have, obviously, the hospitals there, so we have a lot of elderly folks, a lot of people with disability, a lot of children. We have a lot of schools around that area, the armories of the block. So, sometimes these spaces, you need the accessibility, the elevator. So MTA obviously is for their benefit. We're putting these turnstiles in the stations.
Yeah,
for our community is provide some type of free shuttle bus so they can get somewhere where they can access the station.
For during this week, you're saying?
Or at least, yes, or at least until that work is completed.
I can speak to our team if we can have some type of kind of what we do all the time with the Cloisters bus. If we can do something similar for folks to get on at that location, 175th Street. I can ask and then let you know by
and I'll follow, because honestly the weather's horrible, so there's no buildup everywhere, and if somebody travels from one side of the district to get to 168 because they have to attend an appointment, or Jim Berlin who has to attend our meetings and can't have access to the elevator, it's not on them, right? It's obviously not advertised. As Noemi mentioned, the outreach wasn't there from when it started happening. It came later on, which we appreciate the signage, but Yeah, if you can please put that out there. If you need anything from me specifically or any letter from the board, let me know. We'll forward it to you. But I think that the least MTA can do is provide shuttle buses while this work is going on.
Yeah. Well, I'll make the ask. In the meantime, I'm gonna put in the chat the travel alternatives for those who need a stair-free transfer. I'll put that in the chat. But in the meantime, I'll also ask for that request, see what they tell me.
Thank you, man. And if you can also please forward it to my email. I'm sorry, I'm just doing a couple of things right now, so I'm not able to just type everything. But if you can send it to my email, you can copy and paste it from the chat, and I'll just push it out to the board so that could also be sent out in our newsletters and to our other community partners so that everybody's aware of what's going on. But I'll follow up with you in the next couple of days. Hopefully the work gets completed at the end of this week and we don't have to wait long. But in the meantime, MTA should do something for it.
Yeah. And then to Allegra's question, no, the one that you're referring to, when the woman got, I guess, stuck in that one downtown, that's not the one that's getting installed at this station.
Okay. Yeah, you said you have options, right? So
yeah, we're trying 3 different companies, but the one that's coming on 168th Street isn't that company that we're putting in.
Okay, great. I'm gonna allow Allegra to speak for 2 minutes. He has a question or comment. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, thank you so very much. And I really appreciate again, Alberto, for being so responsive about the 10th Avenue sidewalk parking issue. Just to reiterate what Jim said, like 168th Street, because it is the major hospital complex for Uptown, mobility and disability access to the station is like the top priority for that station. And I can see further along on the one train, 137th Street, 125th Street, there are efforts at those stations to make sure that there's elevator access. And I really think that 168th Street, the principal hospital for Community Board 12, should really have full ADA access compliance on both of the lines. For me, like I know I put that comment in there. My own kid has autism, and although now she's a teenager, it's fine. When she was small, elopement was a major issue, and the turnstiles were really scary because, you know, she could get duck under there and get through there and get separated from me. But I always knew that I could, like, you know, if worst came to worst, I could like get through there. And the new ones, like where like you can get separated from your kids, I find a little bit terrifying. So as we are thinking about, you know, the positive and negatives of these gates, I would just hope that you have like additional staff on site so that if something does go wrong, you have like someone there who's responsive in the moment who can remediate any kind of issues such as that. And I really, I know that fare beating, everybody's super worried about it. I saw kids today. I was down at the hospital doing like literal, like those kids can go work Cirque du Soleil. They can do their acrobatics. They are not stopped by anything. But I can totally see like regular people being separated from their families from those gates. So I just really hope that you can have some additional personnel like monitoring your new gate styles and think about like who are you actually blocking, like the people who are going to comply with the rules anyway versus the kids who are literally acrobats who are not going to be slowed down much by whatever gate you put in. Thank you.
Yeah,
and thank you again.
No worries. Thank you, Allegra, for that. Just so everyone knows, the stations that are getting these pilot gates, we do have additional staff on site. 168th Street is the home of one of our customer service centers, so we have staff there 24/7. But at the locations that have a turnstile, we'll definitely have additional staff just to help folks navigate that. As any questions, and one thing that these new gates have that the current turnstiles don't have is they have wide access, right? So if you have mobility device or luggage or whatever it is, you have the option to have the wider gate so you can go in without any obstruction like you do now.
Thanks, Alberto, and I appreciate the follow-up questions, Allegra. To Allegra's point, I want to give you a shout out again, Alberto. Last month, Bruce had referred a community member, a community resident who did some advocating and got something fixed in the area. Allegra is obviously one of our eyes, and strongest advocates in our area. She's always advocating for the Inwood area, well, other parts of the community. But she reached out to Alberto, as she mentioned last committee meeting, reached out to him through email about some illegal parking on the sidewalk near MTA facilities. Alberto extensively reached out to his people, and within a day or two, mitigated that. And that's what really, this is what it's about. It's about community working together. We don't look at the agencies as enemies. They're our partners, right? We have to coexist to live, work, and play in our area. So when you see two different walks and two different people from a community really work together to get certain things going, it's beautiful to see as active community board member, but just as a person who lives in this area. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. And this is important while Alberto is still with us, and Leo is aware of this. Allegra works with a group of people at the City University who, as a project they were doing, monitored the temperature at various stations. And so they will probably be sharing their data with us, although the data we have at the data they have at our most notorious station, the one train station at 168th Street, is rather limited. But they pointed out, and this is why, I'm talking to Alberto in particular, that the MTA has temperature sensors in all of its stations. And so the data we're interested in terms of the excessive heat at, again, this deep underground station of the one train at 168th Street, is data that, at least according to them, the MTA has and traditionally has not shared. And it's the sort of data I think that would be useful not only to our community board, but other community boards as well. So if Alberto could reach out to his, the people who actually run the place and encourage them to make this data available, I think that would be a useful tool for everyone in terms of getting the summer and maybe even the winter temperatures at the stations under control. And the other thing I just want to add is that the discussion we had with these folks, and I think Allegra will agree, and I thank Allegra profusely for helping to arrange this discussion. It was a really wonderful discussion, and in fact, at some point, they're willing to speak to us about the various issues of really hot subway stations. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that, and again, put in our request to the MTA via Alberto to get this data publicly available for the benefit of everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And Alberto, put in the chat, Jim, and I texted you as well, the geothermal RFI.
Yeah, Jim. So I'll make the ask for you, Jim, and Allegra. Just want to flag that in this capital plan, there is a sizable chunk of money set aside for climate change and infrastructure resiliency, and this is top of the list. And how do we cool these stations down and make them comfortable for our customers and for everyone who's in that station? As we all know, they're pretty unbearable. So we're looking at how we can make that a little bit easier for everyone, even if it's a few degrees cooler, because we all know that makes a difference.
Absolutely. Many thanks.
Thank you, Alberto. All right. So we'll wrap up. Alberto, Lyle, thank you guys again for joining us. You'll be hearing from us soon. But we'll move on with the next agenda item. And I'm sure that's why Steve is joining us. I invited the superintendent in our area. He wasn't able to make the meeting, sanitation superintendent. We've had a couple of discussions this week with the board office, and they relayed the message regarding snow removal. But one of the hot topics has been potentially bringing back alternate side parking twice a week within our district. I know that historically, some context behind it, Steve's committee, 2012 and 2013, obviously Steve will talk and give some background to it, passed a resolution regarding the dangers of cars and the emission and moving the parking and all these issues. So recently, I know Ebenezer, this was one of his big pushes in cahoots with sanitation was that a lot of more cars are now warehousing, riding. So the reality is a lot of our streets are very dirty. So potentially wanted to have a conversation with the committee, see our attendees, and I know Peter, and I'll allow Peter to give some information, but I just want to see where everybody's head is at. It seems like we might have a joint committee meeting with Steve and Health, but you just want to get a bit of comment from the committee. Steve, feel free to chime in whenever you're ready. Or anyone.
Well, I'm sorry that I missed the opening. I had to, I got distracted by something else. I'm certainly open to having a further conversation between the two committees, and maybe having a public hearing if that's what it amounts to. But I just want to say that I consider the reduction that we achieved in alternate side of the street parking back in that we passed a resolution in 2011, didn't take effect until 2013. So we have experienced it now for 13 years. And my feeling is that this is one of the most significant things that this community board has ever accomplished, that we were able to reduce an inconvenience for many of our residents, and reduced air pollution, among other things, significantly. And there have probably been tens of thousands of people, cases in which people did not have to ride around trying to move their cars over the years that were just unnecessary. And and this was all tied into having cleaner streets. That's the basis and the rationale for having alternate side of street parking. And my committee would check the street cleanliness ratings every single month in order to make sure that we did not suffer a reduction in those ratings, because we would, under the law, we would not be able to qualify for that reduction if we didn't keep our ratings up over 90% for I forget the continuous period of time required. So we managed to keep those ratings up, and so we did not suffer any loss of in terms of street cleanliness. So I think in all, from my perspective, it's been a success. And while we may have heard now anecdotally that there are some issues with people, I don't know, not moving their cars, the impression I got from sanitation and from Anthony after he spoke to the sanitation superintendent was that the sanitation superintendent is not asking for a change in the policy. He just wants to make sure that we have enforcement. And of course, there should always be enforcement, no matter what the requirement is. If people aren't moving their cars, then they should get summonses, and that would be the case whether we had the current policy or went back to the old one. So I think we simply have to look at the question of enforcement. But if that's where the issue is,
thank you, Steve.
I would be very reluctant, and I think my committee would be reluctant unless we really had an absolutely clear, convincing case to resume going back to the old policy. The community as a whole, as I say, has benefited from this, and somebody would have to make a really strong case why it should be changed, why we should go back to where it was before 2013.
Thank you, Steve. And to that Steve's point, sanitation superintendent reached out to the board office, and he asked if there are any problematic locations. I know Peter has a location where a driver drives onto the sidewalk when the machine passes. So forward me the location, and I'll forward it to them so that they can wrap up their enforcement. Fred?
Thank you, Leo. Steve makes a bunch of excellent points, but as someone who lives in this community board, and drives and parks and walks, I can say that that there is a case to be made for double side alternate parking. And Leo mentioned warehousing, and although I didn't conduct a rigorous study, I conducted a reasonable study, and with the snowstorm last year, and it's clear that 40%, somewhere between 25 and 40% of the vehicles in this district are only driven to when the street cleaner comes. They're not regularly driven. And I'm sure that anyone can walk by today and you'll see all the cars that have not been dug out. And so in our district, particularly, people have enough money in certain areas to have a car and basically not drive it. And I think that that impinges upon many aspects of the quality of life in the city. And to me, that would be what moving back to twice a week on both sides would begin to address. And hopefully I'll be able to make a more formal case for that at another time. And as far as the anecdotal evidence or the data-driven evidence of our streets being clean, that I believe that data may be very generously interpreted by whoever is collecting it. They may be in a biased position, because from what I see on my block, even the once a week, it's only a 50% chance that the street cleaner comes by. And there's been blocks that have gone a solid 3 or 4 months without being swept. And the other thing is now people actually just sit in their cars and they don't actually move or double park for that street sweeping cycle, which, you know, is kind of a negation of the purpose. One of the purposes is to get people to move their cars. And I understand that a certain group of people benefit by not moving their cars, but I need to remind everyone that that is at most 24 or 25% of households in our district. And the other 75% of the households do not own a car and would probably appreciate less cars on the street, less miles driven. And for those people who do drive their cars, like myself, I'm in my car right now because I have to drive to work. It makes an appreciable difference to finding parking spots, which, as others like Shoup might argue, eventually there's more people driving around looking for parking spots, which they call cruising, and so it actually increases vehicle miles. And obviously that's a difficult data point to determine for any particular neighborhood without spending some money on an actual data study, but that's where we are. So for me, I would love to see that come back as part of an overall parking reform structure for not only our community board, but the entire city.
Thank you, Fred. And I'll highlight before pushing out any resolution or idea of discussing the resolution, we would have a joint meeting with Steve's committee, possibly a hearing, and we would go as a community and decide that. Steve, I'm not sure if you want to respond. We'll allow Peter and then Allegra, and then we'll wrap this one up as well, since this is just an open discussion on something that can potentially happen. Go ahead, Steve. Steve?
Steve, are you muted?
So you had your hand raised.
I'm sorry, are you calling upon me?
Oh yeah, no, I saw you had your hand raised.
Oh no. Oh no.
Steve, real quick, off the top of it, and Allegra probably asked this again, but she wrote in the Q&A. Do you know how much additional CO2 would be emitted if we go back to 2 times street cleaning? I know in certain areas of the city they have it.
I don't have that handy yet. We can maybe check with the DEP to see if they may have anything on that. But
awesome.
I mean, obviously there would be a considerable amount, because a lot more people would now be driving around or moving their cars than currently. So that is a consequence of going back to the old policy.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Steve. All right. So we'll allow Peter. Peter, you have 2 minutes. What's going on? Good evening.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right. So I also live in this community board. I drive and I walk and I use transit. I think it's a totally disingenuous argument that there will be less cars on the street. It's just going to cause more driving. The people that are currently warehousing, like, the times that ASP are, right? It's like the times that most people are working at 9 to 5. So if you're warehousing, you have the ability to do that. Most likely, those people will continue to do so. So the idea that people who do need their car to drive to work will come back and find an empty street parking spot if we have twice a week ASP is a joke, because we have an example of every other neighborhood in Manhattan to look at. I'm not even talking about the other boroughs. And we also have the example of how it was prior to 2013. If people lived here before then, which I did, I've been here since 98. Parking has always been a problem. So this idea that twice a week ASP is going to be some panacea in any way for finding parking after work is just absolutely disingenuous. And more so than that, again, 70% of this community or even more is a transit rider or a pedestrian. Why would we implement a policy that's just going to prioritize car drivers at the expense of our children's lungs, which will just cause more CO2 no matter which way you try and cut, slice, dice it? There's going to be an increase in CO2 emissions, which will directly lead to increased asthma cases in our community board district. Why would we do that? I am highly opposed to this. What we need is we need the DSNY to send their inspectors regularly, like they do in other neighborhoods in Manhattan. The inspector always follows them in the Lower East Side where my friend lives. So he always has to move his car twice a week. We just need that up here. We need the inspector following the sweepers every single day that they go out. I see the inspector on my block, which has once a week ASP, maybe every 6 weeks. And that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Leo,
Those
we
were
can't hear
some
you.
very excellent points. I just presumed it was my turn to jump in.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
or like
It is.
So I would encourage, if Fred is serious about this proposal, let him do the data analysis. I would like to see Fred produce a time series of how street cleanliness has changed over the last 15 years so that we can see the impact that the change in alternate side parking has had. And I think that not only doing a time series analysis of Community Board 12 would be appropriate, but I think also probably for every year, you could also look at communities who have various alternate side parking schemes and compare their relative street cleanliness and do some sort of detection attribution study. And I think that if Fred's serious about this, that he should indeed be taking the lead on such a study. Secondly, Peter's absolutely right. Particulate matter and other kinds of gnarly, nasty emissions from cars idling and circling our community are causing harm. They're not causing harm in a way that might inconvenience a driver, but literally there are 10 times as many deaths attributable in our community to air quality issues related to car and vehicle use as there are bloody deaths by direct conflict between cars and other people and cars and cyclists. So we need to be very cognizant that our decisions can absolutely have an impact on our air quality. I would also say enforcement is very poor in Uptown. If you go just 100 blocks south, like Morningside Heights, there are inspectors. Nobody leaves their car to block other people's in. No, cars definitely have to move every day because they have inspectors every day. We just don't get them up here. So all of these points are kind of moot without the enforcement to back them up. And I don't know, like, who is deserving of free parking? Are people who are working full time? Is it people who only people who work from
Thank you,
home?
Allegra.
Like, who's deserving of free parking? Like, this is something we should bring up.
I'm not sure why I'm still muted. Brandon Tesh, you have 2 minutes.
Hey, evening. Just I'll lower my hand. I would be in favor of investigating going back to twice a week, simply because I just know anecdotally, I'm up here near 191st Street on the east side, and the streets are just messy. And they have been for a while, and I'll agree with some of the other sentiments. There's definitely, I don't think I've ever seen a sanitation inspector. So yeah, that could be increased, but also right now with once a week, let's say a sweeper misses a block or there's a holiday or something, that just means that it's 2 weeks until a vehicle will even come back to the area. So I'm going to wrap it up. I would be in favor of pursuing that. I've noticed, especially the past few years, just an uptake in the condition of streets, and they're not great. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your input. And again, this is just a lot of preliminary talks. The conversation needs to have a lot more members of the community and with Steve's community, as it would most likely be a joint resolution to reverse his previous resolution. Jim and then Fred, and then we'll wrap this up so we can move on to new business.
I have a few more comments. I agree that we should look into it. I think there are good cases for keeping it the way it is, and there also, there's a good reason to, increase the frequency to what it was, although whether that would improve matters, well, that should be part of the discussion, and we might even, which maybe is what Leo is hinting at, even have a public hearing, maybe even a public hearing, that both committees would be involved with, where the public could comment on this too, because I know most people, find it much more convenient not to have them move their cars twice a week. The other thing, and it sounded like, and I probably just misheard what Peter said, because he was talking about CO2, and CO2 per se, doesn't bother people's lungs. It's the particulate matter and stuff that Allegra was talking about. So I may have misheard him, because I don't think, these cars driving around would produce more CO2, but as a slight additional level, I don't think it's going to do anybody harm. It's not going to turn their bodily fluids into soda, for example. So, but again, I don't think that's what Peter meant. So.
Thanks, Jim. Fred, you got 2 minutes, Fred.
Thank you, Leo. Obviously, it's a complex situation, and there probably isn't any particular good answer. If we take Peter's point and drive it to its logical conclusion, we should not have alternate side parking at all, because it will be the least emission point. But obviously, that's not a rational decision either. And as far as what Allegra said, well, I'm not a scientist, so I may have a hard time doing a longitudinal study, especially something that goes into the past. But I'm a little bit better at projecting the future. And some of the things that are in the pipeline in the future would be resident-only permit parking. And that would entail significant enforcement. And one way to get that enforcement going is to have twice-a-week alternate side parking. I know it's strictly anecdotal, but on my block, I can point to cars that literally have not moved in 3 years. And that is not what the city streets of New York are designed for. They are a public space. And if you ask me what I personally think, not as a board member, but me personally, I personally think there shouldn't be any free parking in New York City. The streets should be given to what they were designed for, which is pedestrian and other transit use. Driving's okay, but as I look down the street, I just see 100 cars that they're not moving. It's a dead weight, and it's an asset transfer from the city to its citizens that only benefit a small select group. And I believe that time has come, and in the professionals that talk about parking, they seem to start at that point, that there should be no more free parking, that the city should take back their public access and public assets for the public. And so that's part of my mindset where I start, and I think of
Thank
things
you,
like
Fred.
Thanks,
Well,
Fred. We appreciate it. We don't want to go long-winded, guys. Again, this is just preliminary conversations.
Yep.
Then I will, and Lemmy and Steve Vice Chair will sit down and discuss potential hearing in the next couple months, few months, maybe towards the end of the fiscal year, May or June. And the conversation for residential parking will come up again eventually. Once it passes the state, then we'll kind of ramp things up. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I agree. That should help with idling, warehousing, etc. All right. So real quick with old business we discussed. Noemi, myself, Jody, Bruce, and we continuously follow up. We want to give a shout out to our council member, Sean Abreu, in the area. He's also now the chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee at the council level. Ann and Bruce had brought that up recently. And I think this is a great for us, especially holding accountable DOT. So we will be on top of the conversation is not a mute point. It's ongoing. But we will be following up monthly. So new business. I'm reaching out to the DEP to request cleaning of catch basins. I see it happen quite often downtown, certain areas where there's projects where DEP comes in, cleans the catch basins primarily to prevent street flooding during rainstorms, protects the water quality, and maintains the sewer system. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I would have to touch bases with the board office. I'm not sure when was the last time DEP came into our area or our district specifically and did this. So I will be requesting this moving forward. This is also probably under Steve's committee's purview, but it's something that I feel since it's on our streets, we have just as much as say in it. Steve, you have your hand raised.
Yes, because again, this is an issue which legitimately falls under the purview of my committee, and we have in fact been talking to the DEP Borough Commissioner about this. He was recently at one of my committee meetings, and we raised this issue with him, and in fact we spoke to him also about it in the context of whether or not it should be one of our budget requests to try to increase the staff that takes care of cleaning catch basins. So this has been an issue that we have also pursued.
Thank you, Steve. We support you from this committee. I'm not speaking for myself. It is a huge issue in our community. So yeah, if you can just keep us updated, we'll have offline conversations. But I'm very glad that you and your committee have this at the helm. Peter, is this related to cleaning of the catch basins, DP? Or for Steve? Peter?
No.
What was in relation to?
I was gonna say, who's gonna pay for all the street signs? Where does that budget come out of?
Point taken. Thank you, man. All right. Moving on. Sanitation. The board office has been in contact with sanitation. The superintendent and I guess the borough supervisor have been pretty on it with us, taking our requests. If you see anything in our area that needs attention, please feel free to email it to myself, any committee member, any board member, or to a board office so that we can get it out. They have been very responsive. And there's obviously a lot of areas in our district who still need attention. So if anybody, this goes only for board members or community residents, patrons, if you see any areas that the snow and ice is really bad, you can't get to certain ped ramps, you don't have access to the bus stop shelter or the bus stop, or just to the curb line, right? If it's difficult for you to get onto the street or around it with strollers, please reach out to us and we'll make sure to pass the sanitation. And we follow up with that. That being said, I have also followed up and will continue to follow up with sanitation regarding the snow melting machine. I'm sure everyone has heard it by now. They have these machines where they throw snow in, shovel snow, throw it in, and it melts into water and goes into a catch basin. I think it's a pretty good operation. We had it last week in our district on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday for a few hours, good amount of hours. Not sure when they will be back in the district, but I would be requesting it. Obviously, they're limited machines, so they're going to go to the major areas, the major hub. But if there's something really bad in any placed in our community, just send me it and we'll request it. Again, it doesn't hurt to ask. Yeah, Jim.
I just wanted to point out, and I imagine others are aware of this, but maybe not. The reason they have to use these snow melting machines, because in the old days they used to just dump the snow in the river, which is energetically much more efficient. Melting snow takes a lot of energy, but apparently the snow is in fact so dirty that the melted water has to go through the sewage treatment plants because just dumping it in the river would, make the rivers absolutely filthy. So that's the reason they're doing this.
No, thanks for bringing that up, Jim. And I agree. The snow is very, very dirty. Ira, what's going on, Ira? Is it related to sanitation? Ira, I'm sorry. We cannot hear you. You sound like a chipmunk. Ira, let me maybe disconnect the mic or check the mic, but let's try it again.
I think he's back again.
Okay.
Now we can hear
How
you.
about now? Okay.
Yes.
This was actually related to your previous comment about catch basins and getting DEP. I have no comment on snow cleaning. I mean DSNY. The comment is that if you did a proposal or resolved to do continuous sidewalks, there wouldn't be so much of an issue of flooding and snow clogging catch basins, or leaves clogging catch basins, or crap clogging catch basins, because the catch basins may be clean, but the entrance to the catch basins is not. So you create these continuous sidewalks, and the flooding will never happen because people will never, unless they're crossing a major avenue, crossing a side street, they're not going to encounter large ponds created by flooding. That's all.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you for your comment. And I encourage, obviously, our attendees to attend other committees. We discuss a lot of the street issues in our committee, but a lot of these conversations also tie into other committees, as saw with Steve, various issues and topics we discussed tonight tie directly into his committee with health. So I encourage you guys to go on our website, sign up for our e-newsletter, and attend our committee meetings. I think, we often get caught up in the time that we can attend, and we don't really branch out and get to know the other committees and how their work is also impactful. So with that being said, any new business from my committee members, anything you guys want to bring up, anything we want to follow up on, the board and Anthony's chair have started reaching out, looking at past resolutions and reaching out with the chairs. So it's something we're going to be working on. And I appreciate Jody. Jody is like our committee historian, and I'm not taking away from you, Steve, but Jody follows up on a lot of her resolutions. So she'll hold MTA or DOT accountable on those resolutions. But is there anything else, a committee, you want to bring up before we wrap up? Fred.
I just wanted to see, did you go on the site visit to Fort Washington and 179th Street?
Yeah, so we went, again, I wanted to open it up to everyone in our committee. Alaa and I had an offline topic, and it's one of those things where it's best just to meet part of the brass and just kind of have discussions so that we can organize and have several places to target. It's a lot going on in our community. Obviously, it's a range of about 70 blocks from river to river, and it's a lot of places to target. But yes, we discussed 178 for Washington. They had a traffic signal employee from the traffic signal division, and they are going to look into a traffic study in the area. He did seem to agree that if you put a left turning light heading north on 179 for Washington, going onto the bridge, things might die out, but because traffic is coming from all directions, including west from Broadway and the other avenues, it's more of an issue with a bottleneck. So they're gonna look at different things, just not the signal issue. So we should be hearing something hopefully later on this spring. Again, it's a lot of things we're gonna follow, but yes, we did meet with them. And Noemi, feel free to add. Noemi joined us, so she gave a lot of input. So yeah, next month we'll have some presentations from DDC and DOT. We'll have Emily Shingai. She gave a presentation from Open Plan, was the Open Plan about a year ago around this time, regarding universal daylighting. Again, it's an ongoing conversation, like alternate side parking twice a week, like residential parking. I know I got some email from Fred, in the past from Peter and Allegra regarding universal daylighting. I know that every community board has passed a resolution. Most, if not all, council members in Manhattan have agreed to it. I'm not opposed to having the overall discussion. I'm not opposed to passing a resolution that makes sense for our area. Just because downtown Manhattan, they're passing something out there, might not make sense for our area. I do agree safety is our main concern, regardless of parking, parking loss or anything. We're looking to potentially entertain the conversation and have a starting point. So putting it or proposing that they be installed around schools. Noemi is doing a lot of the legwork for this because she works with a lot of schools in our community. But that's the conversation we'll be having with Emily. She'll give us another presentation on daylight and we'll discuss that a little further. We'll follow up as a committee, set up another walkthrough with Lau and a couple members from his team. I encourage everyone to join, at least in my committee, to join land use meeting this Thursday. They are having a conversation. They're voting on an application, BSA application from Zeta Charter School. Zeta Charter School is that school on 218th and 9th Avenue that we've had issues in the past with double triple parking in dismissal. The conversation with them is ongoing, as well as we look for a solution between Zeta, DOT, MTA, the businesses around, the hospital nearby. But they're essentially coming putting forth an application to open up a location on 181st and Broadway. Unfortunately, I will not be supporting that ask at the land use. Depending on what the committee passed, I will not support it down the line. I think that if we have issues on 218th and 9th Avenue and they're not willing to sit with us at the table and work on certain things, I don't think they should take the brunt of it. Obviously, they have children in the school, students. Parents want to make sure that their kids are picked up safely, which I understand the reason for, but we do not encourage triple parking, especially because it could cause just issues overall. About a month ago, 2 months ago, I was there with Lyle and Alberto from MTA, and we saw land use is Wednesday. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ann, for the clarification. So land use Wednesday. Most of our committee meetings this month will be on Zoom. So please go on our CB2 website for the Zoom link. But a few months ago, we were on site, Alberto, myself, Lyle, and we witnessed and observed a school bus having to pick up children from the school about a block away. That should never happen, ever. Obviously, safety comes first, but if the buses can't even get to the curb line in front of the school, then we have a major issue. So obviously, most of you guys have lived here many, many years in our district. You know the headache that 181st is and Broadway is, especially with the major commercial hub extending all the way to Amsterdam Avenue, the major bus thoroughfare, that area going to the Bronx, the major traffic coming on and off the bridge, a lot of activity going on in the area. If we have NYPD 34th precinct is a few blocks down, it's chaos throughout the day in our district at that location. If we have partner come in to take over that empty lot in the corner, we have to make sure that they're a good partner to the community. So I encourage board members, our attendees. Again, I'm a big advocate pushing forward school. I think that every child needs a place to be educated, especially with a growing population and demand. But we also want to make sure we welcome good neighbors. And certain cases, you make your own decision or choice, but certain cases can be prevented before they get worse. Jim, and then Noemi, if you want to add anything. And then we'll
Well,
close.
you have a good point about the potential, location of the new charter school, but they will not be able to get away with their nonsense at this this major intersection. I mean, Broadway and 181st Street is one of the major intersections, period.
Yeah.
So, but your point is very well taken, because I think as the plans for their school progress, we should demand that a plan be in place before the school even opens for how they're going to deal with this issue. Because again, we cannot have 181st Street and Broadway blocked by, parents picking up their kids, and I understand that this is very important to the families and their safety and all that. But on the other hand, if that intersection is blocked, there are all sorts of places that fire engines and ambulances won't be able to go. So I think this is a major potential problem. And again, we could even pass a resolution, demanding that such a plan, appear before the school is built or before the school opens. And, I think we would have allies, in the fire department and the police department, and that means in our public safety committee for, this very important demand.
Thank you, Jim. Steve?
Yeah, let me ask two things. Number one, I think it's the Equity Project Charter School. They're currently located diagonally across the street, one block up on Broadway, 182nd Street, where the School District 6 was located years ago. Do we know if there have been similar parking problems at that location? Granted, this new building is presumably going to accommodate a lot more students than what they have in this other space. But is there a similar issue with people, parents dropping off or picking up their kids?
So, yes and no. So, no, I'll start with that. No, the reason why I say that, we met with Lyle. We walked with Lyle to the location. Lyle said that at the inception of the school, when the school was first established, they had a lot of issues because NYPD obviously takes a lot of the parking in that area. So it became a whole thing, but eventually they kind of figured out the dismissal. So at first there was issues. Eventually they kind of got with the program and had to figure things out. Now, part of, and again, it will be discussed in land use, this building is slated for 9 stories. So they're housing way more kids than
Yeah.
that charter school.
But I'm wondering if we can insist that they have a driveway so that cars could come off the street in order to pick up or drop off the kids. So that maybe it takes the cars off of Broadway, off of 181st Street. I think maybe we have to get a hold of this school as soon as possible to talk to them about making some design changes that would remove some of this problem from the street.
I agree. I encourage you, Steve, join the land use meeting on Wednesday. I think we should all join that meeting.
So I'm sorry, this is a topic before land use?
Yes, so they're coming with the BSA application
for
the development of that building for the charter school for Zeta.
This Wednesday, okay.
This Wednesday. I have Allegra, and then we'll wrap it up. What's going on, Allegra?
Thank you so very much. Look, so charter schools, when they move into our districts, which I don't understand, community board and education district. Anyway, we're District 6. When they move into our district, they use the statistics relevant for District 6 to justify their existence in District 6. But as already mentioned, something like 1 in 6, maybe even less than that, depending on the community, in this district use their cars to get to where they're going. If there is more than 15 to 20% of the students at a charter school being delivered to school by car, they are not being true to the charter that was issued to them. And we need to go after that in a different way and a systematic way and saying like, look, these kids, the charter, when they said that they were going to install in our district, they made promises that they would serve the kids in our district. And yet we can tell by the traffic situation that results from them not being representative of the kids who live in our district, that they are not kids from our district. And that's the way we need to approach every single charter school traffic jam issue. Thank you.
We can't hear you, Leo.
Thank you, Allegra. And just to follow up on that, we should all attend the land use meeting. They're gonna come, but if enough voices are heard from the community, obviously opposing or supporting, attend the meeting, just provide your input. I agree it's gonna be an issue, and we want partners who are doing good for the community versus not so. With that being said, there's no other comments. Looking to adjourn. Any motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Noemi, can I get a second?
Second that.
Second.
Thank you. All right, for the record, I think it was Ann that seconded, or Jody.
It was Melissa.
Oh, Melissa, thank you, Melissa. Oh,
Mhm.
before, well, we adjourned, but Melissa, Daryl, how was your first meeting? Person is a little livelier. It's been long-winded tonight, but how was your first meeting?
Great.
I'll have
Informative.
questions for you.
You'll get to speed. At first, it might seem like a lot is being thrown out, but you guys know your street better than anyone else. We live here, so.
By the way, technically, the game we play of, adjourning the meeting when someone seconds the motion to adjourn, is not what we're supposed to be doing. Then we have to vote on it. And just getting up and leaving is, I suppose, sort of voting on it, but not really. So, I presume all of us are in favor of adjourning.
Yes, yes. Melissa, Daryl, I'll connect with you on offline. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you need any explanation, Jim is a great resource. Jody, Bruce, who's a former board member, now public member, is a great resource. Noemi knows quite a bit. Most of our committee members are very good resources. So, and if you want me to put you in touch with Lyle, Alberto, who are our reps for the various agencies, DOT and MTA, let me know as well if you have any concerns in your area. You guys are obviously the voices in your surroundings, so just give me a heads up.
Be great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
That being said, good night, everyone.